Right, Trav, your neck of the woods, mate. Alto Metals, AME, they've released an updated mineral resource estimate for their Sandstone Project. So that's 150k east of Mount Magnet. They're nearing that magic 1 million ounce mark that investors seem to like. Give us the spill, mate. What do you think of there for an upcoming gold producer potentially?
Yeah, I mean, it looks that way. They've sort of, been hard at work, sort of, adding ounces via the drill bit. And they're now at that 832,000 ounces at 1.5 grams per tonne, and 226 of that is indicated. And 3 years ago, the total project was only 330 odd ounces of 1,000 ounces of gold there. And to your point, there's not too many gold development projects in Western Australia that could genuinely become a standalone operation. You could list them on less than one hand. Medallion Gold, who's raising money today, and Alto sort of pops up there as a later stage. There's no studies, but the resource looks good enough to support a standalone development. But the interesting thing there is that there's so many mills in the region that perhaps the standalone development doesn't actually make sense. So, this company's sort of been busy at it, despite the fact that they've had a lot of corporate interest in recent history. In 2020 in particular, they were subject to takeover offers from both Gold Sea and their neighbour Middle Island at the time, and they were busy fending them off, and they're now in a position where Westgold owns 13% of the company. Gold Sea, who is now GS Group, sit there with a 10% interest in the company. And if you look in the region, there's so many milling options between Westgold's neighbouring mills. There's Kirkalocka. There's basically 5 mills in the space of about 150 kilometres. And then, and more optionality with this project actually can be attained via more regional consolidation of good exploration projects. Notably, they're probably only 70 kilometres away from the you and my project that Rox Resources just consolidated with Venus Metals on Friday. So there's plenty of potential for how this ore is actually going to get into a mill, and some of that could involve more transactions down the track. To date, Alto's fended off any potential of that happening, but they're sort of approaching the threshold where it could support a standalone operation if it so thought it was possible.
And what do you reckon that resource is going to have to get to before feasibility studies possibly start coming into play?
I would anticipate that Alto's strategy to date has been to emphasise exploration and don't even talk about studies. And that's been a strategy that's worked for them in an environment where building a mine has been, capital intensive and has rarely been conducted on budget. So I can't see them changing that strategy anytime soon, especially when they've held up reasonably well compared to junior gold explorers and developers of a similar size that, the share price has held their ground. So I honestly think that they'll just keep adding ounces via the drill bit until something more compelling comes along.
So what is look at assets like this, and you said Ausgold are in the news today for a capital raise, so they've sort of been sitting idle for a bit. These million ounce resources, these relatively simple open pit models, do you reckon they're attractive to a mid cap that might be looking to secure a project like this for an extra ounce profile?
I think absolutely, and especially given the synergies with nearby mills who are short of high grade gold, and some of the pits within Alto's global mineral resource are sort of around that 2 grams per tonne mark, which we know is highly truckable. So it absolutely makes sense as a sort of bolt on, but for corporates who are looking for it as a development opportunity, then I think you get more synergies out of trucking the ore to one of those nearby mills than if you were to just see it as a pure play development opportunity.
JD, what's your take on the gold explorers looking to get into the around that 1 million ounce mark?
Yeah, I think Travis summed it up really well there. You just need to look through the names as well. A lot of them are quite busy at the moment. You have Capricorn developing Mount Gibson, so they look like they've got their hands full for the minute. Bellevue coming into production now. Gold Road tied in with De Grey at the moment, so just sort of wait and see which ones have the cash availability and have the capacity, and we'll see how that sort of plays out over the next year.
Yep, $3,000 an ounce. I reckon it's going to be a flurry soon.